Welcome to episode 73 of Everything Sports with Aman and Evan. I'm your host, Aman Carney, and we talk about the hottest topics in sports over the course of the past week. And in today's episode, we're going to be recapping the Thursday night football game between the Detroit Lions and Kansas City Chiefs. And then we're going to talk about the outlook for the NFC, AFC, and then get into our hot takes. And before we start, make sure to follow us on the social media platforms you see on screen right now. And with that, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, all that stuff will be resuming, so you will get the sports content daily about all sports news as football starting up, basketball soon, so you won't miss any Everything Sports with Aman and Evan content going forward. But without further ado, let's start talking about the Thursday night football game, and we have a couple of guests joining us this episode. Our friends Jordan Taylor and Joseph Chu.
What's up?
What's up?
All right, and so yesterday we had the Detroit Lions posting a massive upset over the Kansas City Chiefs, 21-20 in Kansas City. Evan, what are your thoughts on how the game went? Because Detroit Lions, a lot of people think they're for real and an elite team.
The game, but I wouldn't say they're elite yet because clearly saw that it was just pretty poverty. Honestly, they were good enough, but burnt time and time again. But the Chiefs just kept dropping the passes every single time. Obviously, Kadarius Toney did not have a great game, but he will bounce back. I feel like in terms of these stud wide receivers like Justin Jefferson, like Jamar Chase, like all those other guys, you're gonna get absolutely torched by them because the cornerbacks are just not strong. Of course, they'll probably figure it out sooner rather than later. But when you have such a poor secondary, it's gonna be hard to win football games, especially when your offense. Although it showed some really great signs yesterday, it's NFL. Like you still have some holes there in the offense, and I think that will hurt them down the line, especially since you don't have such great of a defense.
Yeah, I agree. And Jordan, Joseph, just say your thoughts on the game.
I'm gonna go first. All right. I have a couple passionate thoughts on this game. To be honest with you, all right. The number one thing is the Chiefs' play calling, bro. At some points, it was downright silly and confusing. There was a third and one play. They needed that first down. Your first thought is just give the ball to Patrick Mahomes. They decide to run like this fake QB sneak with the tight end into the handoff. Like, what was that? Like, realistically. So that some of their play calling really confused me. Another thing that I noticed was the wide receiver core of the Chiefs needs to be abolished. They need, bro. If I'm Kadarius Toney, I'm catching footballs until my hands fall off. I'm going to the doctor. I'm then getting. I'm being so for real. I'm getting my hands reattached and I'm catching more footballs, bro. That is just straight unacceptable at some point. It was like the pick six that he threw, that Patrick Mahomes threw. That was all on Kadarius Toney, and I feel like he can bounce back. But right now, that was unacceptable. And I kind of counted. I saw Patrick Mahomes run a lot last game, and I kind of accounted that because the wide receivers couldn't get open. Like the offensive line was doing their job and blocking for him. He had a clean pocket. It was like I feel like the wide receivers weren't getting open, and with Travis Kelsey in the lineup, I feel like Travis Kelsey's gonna play a bigger role this year because the Chiefs don't have like Juju Smith-Schuster, who might not be the greatest, but he's also a veteran. You feel me? So that's a couple of thoughts on the Chiefs. And personally, I was impressed by the Lions because they played with a lot of heart out there. Like their defense, it really seemed like even though the wide receivers on the Chiefs made it a little easy on them, but they played with a lot of heart. You know what I'm saying? They tried their best to stop Patrick Mahomes, and they did. And I also like the fake punt that they did. So I was impressed by the Lions and not really by the Chiefs.
I agree. And Joseph, want to say your thoughts before I go?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with everything that Jordan said. And on top of that, they just had bad play calls. Another one was on the last play, the fourth and 20 something. They were in the deep in their own area and they tried to go for it for some reason. They got probably just punted with their timeouts and have their defense make a stop or something, and it didn't. And obviously, the receivers were kind of lacking a little bit last night. So I mean, we're giving a little slack to the Lions because they didn't really do much to actually win a game if the Chiefs were actually doing everything correctly. So I think that if the Chiefs actually connected on something and were a little more focused, the Lions couldn't have gotten some of the points that they did.
I agree. And I mean, I feel like this also happened last year in the sense where the Chiefs went off to a bumpy start. I believe they were like 3-4 or something like that. And then they got on fire. Of course, Travis Kelce was out. And on the defense, man, I was joking that the Chiefs front office should just go walk up to this suite and offer Chris Jones that contract. Because I feel like the Chiefs have always had an average defense, and then when your best defender is not playing, then that's obviously going to be a huge issue. They could have sacked Jared Goff more. I don't even know if they did sack him, but they could have got more sacks, more stops, and actually helped the Chiefs. And I feel like I agree with Jordan's point with the receivers. I mean, that was just like a poor showing. And on that interception that he alluded to, there's a freezed picture of where the ball placement was. And Kadarius Toney, the ball just went like through his hands. I don't understand how you can be a receiver in the National Football League and not make catches like Mahomes was throwing. But I will say, do not slander my boy Rashee Rice, SMU guy. Got his touchdown, first touch in the NFL. That was always great to see. But I mean, in the end, I mean, Travis Kelce was out. That offense isn't going to struggle like how they did yesterday. But still, a huge morale booster for the Lions. I never draw conclusions at the end of the first week of the 17-week season. I never like to do that. But I will say, the Lions, they're going to be a great team. Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be way more respected because I feel like he's still underrated in so many ways. So by the end of the season, Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to break out even more than he already has. But let's stay in the AFC. We talked about the Chiefs. We can stay in that division. We're going to talk about the Broncos, Sean Payton pretty much changing everything that went down from last year. So, Evan, we can start with you this time. What do you think about the Broncos season? Because they had a lot of injuries to their receivers already, but how do you think the season's going to go for them?
I'm a Broncos fan, so I'm a little bit biased. I think that something is going to happen this year. I feel like Sean Payton is a very, very great move. I feel like something will click this year, and I think Hackett is your coach. Everything was just set up to go wrong last season, like it did. I think now Sean Payton's in there. He's not going to mess around. He's going to push Russell Wilson and the rest of the team to be great. And obviously, some healthy wide receiver core, although they are getting injured. Like Jerry Judy's obviously hurt, and then the other guys that have gone down too could be up for the season as well. But I think I expect Jerry Judy to have this year when he does come back and play, and then I expect Cortland Sutton as well to go off this year. And obviously, you got Javonte Williams back, which is a huge piece for that offense. And the defensive side, they may not have any PS2, but I think that they have enough on that defense already. Like they already are a very strong defensive team as of last year. So I think just the offense, if they can get going, which I think they will under Sean Payton, I think they're due for a good season this year.
And then Jordan, what are your thoughts on the Broncos, even though they are the rivals of your favorite team?
You see, I'm a little conflicted because with the addition of Sean Payton, I feel like they could definitely make a run, but also I feel like them and the Raiders are kind of in the same boat. I feel like they're both going to end like in that what is 17 games, like 7-10, 6-11, like that type of road. I feel like nothing much is really going to change because I feel like Russell Wilson, I feel like his best days are definitely behind him now, and I feel like he's definitely holding on to a legacy. So I don't think offensively, I don't think they're gonna get much going, especially with their like wide receivers injured too. And defensively, they're always gonna be fine, but offensively, I don't think they're gonna be able to stay in games. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Because those weapons, I mean, Tim Patrick is out, I believe, Achilles for the year. Unfortunate because it'll be his second season in a row he's missing. But Joe, what do you think about your team's former quarterback, and how do you think the Broncos will do?
I mean, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter about what's around him. I don't really know who's around him, like what good players he has. I feel like Russell Wilson always finds a way to do something good. So I think the whole season is up to him. His relationship with the Sean Payton, the offensive coordinator, and just whatever they do there. And I think their defense is going to be good. Um, but I guess on offense, it's up to them to win the season. Whoever they got on their team, you got to roll with it. But it's not going to work if Russell Wilson doesn't do good. I think that Russell Wilson is going to bounce back. He's going to take them to the playoffs, do something good with them and make a run. So that's my opinion.
That is definitely a bold claim, but I mean, I texted Evan months ago with the Sean Payton hire. I'm gonna have to stand on it. I think Russell Wilson could be in the running for comeback player of the year because I think Sean Payton, we already know he's an elite head coach, far, 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 far better than Nathaniel Hackett. But I think it's definitely going to work out in some ways, but I do agree with Jordan's point of Broncos, Raiders, they're pretty much going to be at the bottom of the division. And now that we touched on the Raiders, we can mention the Raiders. I'll give my thoughts first. I feel like Josh Jacobs got a contract, so he's not going to hold out. He's there. The Darren Waller trade was easily one of the most puzzling trades I've seen this offseason. And you sort of downgraded at quarterback with Jimmy Garoppolo. Even though he is a winner, you still have Devontae Adams. But, I mean, I have a hot take about the Raiders, which I will mention later on during the hot take segment. But I feel like the Raiders are going to be average, and then you're going to get, I think it's going to go Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, Raiders in that order. Honestly, you can switch between the Raiders, Broncos, I don't care. But I think the Chargers for sure will be second place, and the Chiefs would still run the division. So, Jordan, give your thoughts now just on the Raiders and Chargers.
Just on the Raiders or on the Raiders and Chargers?
Both.
Both. All right. So me personally, for the Raiders, I feel like the Raiders fan base has always been just like ran off of hope, bro. Like at least in the Derek Carr era, it was just run off of hope. So I feel like as a Raider fan, I always have hope, but at the same time, I have to be realistic. And I feel like the Raiders should try and blow it up a little bit, trade Devontae, try and get some picks, do something. Because with Jimmy Garoppolo as our QB, even though he's known as a winner, I feel like that was based around the 49er system. Like I don't think he was leading those teams into winning. I feel like it was the pieces around him that helped him win, like Debo Samuel, George Kittle. When you have those weapons, of course, you're gonna be known as a winner. So I feel like the Raiders should definitely try and blow it up. And for the Chargers, I feel like the Chargers can definitely make it deep. I feel like in the AFC, I feel like they definitely have the best chance probably at beating the Chiefs just because of their offensive weapons and their defense is definitely not nothing to laugh about. So I definitely feel like the Chargers can make a deep run if they put like their heads down and do it. So yeah.
Yeah. Joe, what about you about the Raiders and Chargers?
I don't really have much to say about the Raiders. I mean, they've always been mid. I feel like they're going to stay that way this year. For the Chargers, I think that this year they are the third best team to take down the Chiefs behind two teams that we'll probably talk about later. We have third best chances to actually take down the Chiefs. And the reasoning behind that is they got a really good team. They got Justin Herbert still there, and I think he's actually going to have an MVP season, so that's going to be big for them. And obviously, their running backs, their receivers are going to be good. The coaching is still good. They've been the same team for the last couple of years now with Justin Herbert, and they haven't gotten over the hump. But I think this year they have a really good shot of doing something. I really like their team, and yeah, I feel like if someone's going to take down Mahomes, it's going to be Herbert. So yeah.
And then Evan, how about you?
Really, really high on the Chargers. I was high on them last year in the playoffs, but obviously that did not work out. But yeah, I think this is definitely Herbert's legacy season. I feel like because he has to go out and show that he can be a winner. He can win those big playoff games, which he hasn't yet shown that he can. But so I think he's gonna try his best to do it. And obviously they need to stay healthy in order for him to win because obviously King going to be dealing with injuries all the time. Mike Williams, he might be dealing with injuries as well. And when you add it together, it's hard for Herbert to succeed in that offense. Like Herbert's not no Mahomes. He can't just throw it, can't just succeed with a bunch of random guys on his offense. And then the Raiders, I just think they're going to be bad, honestly. Uh, Jimmy Garoppolo
Wait,
is
no, hold on, hold on, hold on. Wait, wait,
no, no,
wait,
no,
wait,
no. Yes,
wait.
No, hear me out. Dude, Jimmy Garoppolo is just not that good of a quarterback because the reason he was successful with the Niners is that he was able to get the ball in their hands and they can make plays. No one else, I feel like, can make the plays like Debo Samuel and George Kittle can. Sure, Devontae Adams and good and all, and so is Hunter Renfrow and all the other guys on the offense, but none of them are as with the ball as Debo Samuel and as George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk are. I think that's going to hurt him, especially when Devontae Adams is just going to go deep and Jimmy Garoppolo will throw a pick because he can't throw it that far.
All right, Jordan, want a chance to respond?
All right, all right. Bad is crazy. Bad because we're forgetting about like the offensive weapons that the Raiders really have. I just like obviously Jimmy Garoppolo is a downgrade from Derek Carr, but not by that much. We're not. Let's not act like it's like. It's not like we're going from like Derek Carr to like the third stringer. Like we're going from Derek Carr to Jimmy Garoppolo. They're basically interchangeable. You feel me? So like, and then like you have Josh Jacobs as your running back. You feel me? You got Devontae Adams, who is debatably on any given day the best wide receiver in the NFL. So like I said, I just feel like they're gonna be middle of the road because they basically have the same roster as last year, just without Darren Waller, who was injury prone, so he basically didn't play all season anyway. So like, I don't know. I feel like the Raiders are gonna be mid, but I don't think bad. Like bad is crazy.
We will see for sure. But we will move on to stay in the AFC and talk about the Bills and the Jets. They are in the same division. I feel like it's gonna go Bills, Jets, Patriots, Dolphins. That's a pretty competitive division now. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully Tua stays healthy. Hopefully the Dolphins do well. But we're gonna mainly talk about the Buffalo Bills and New York Jets. The Jets, obviously not the same old Jets anymore. Amazing defense, signed a lot of weapons, and obviously acquired Aaron Rodgers. And so now you have an offense with Rodgers and then a running back duo of Brees Hall, Dalvin Cook, and then of course you got Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard, Mecole Hardman, a lot of weapons on that offense. And so the Jets, there's no excuse not to do well this season. At least they're maximizing whatever window Rodgers has left for sure. And I think they're going to be good, but not as good as the Bills. I think the Bills will definitely win the division. And I would think it will go Bills, Jets, Dolphins, and then Patriots will be last in the division because I think the Bills, they may have lost Tremaine Edmonds and Von Miller is still returning. I think Josh Allen is still a great quarterback. James Cook is supposed to take a step up. You still have Stephon Diggs, one of the best receivers in the league. So I think the Bills will still remain an elite team this year. So I think the Bills will be better than the Jets, but I think both teams will make a lot of noise in the AFC. So Evan, what do you think about the Bills and the Jets?
Thought of this, like uh, are some signs that like the Jets are somewhat similar to the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, obviously, it I have a guy like Kyrie and then Aaron Rodgers who like obviously are superstars, but the parallels honestly here, but like have very interesting mindsets. I guess you could say they both are very interesting people in general. So I just don't know if it's gonna work out. I mean, I haven't really heard many people complain about Aaron Rodgers in the locker room. So I think that side of it, which is interesting. Like you get superstars like the Brooklyn Nets did, and you have the one guy that could throw things off, and that doesn't happen for the Jets. But I mean, it would just be pretty funny as a I wouldn't say New York hater, but I mean, just like a fan in general. I'm not a big fan of New York football or New York anything. It would be pretty funny to see it collapse like that. See things collapse just like Brooklyn Nets did, and I think it definitely won't happen at all. But the, it's going to be a very fun to watch this whole season. And I do agree with you. I think the Bills do pull out and win the division, but the Jets could, but Aaron Rodgers is obviously up there in age. He's still very good, but I think that could be holding them back a little bit.
All right, Jordan, Joseph, anyone want to respond?
All right, Amon, I ain't gonna lie with you. When I text you, I had some football takes I had to get off my mind. This is one of them. I have the Jets winning that division. All right, I have the Jets winning that division. Here's why. All right, last year we saw Josh Allen on multiple occasions just straight up fold under the pressure. Like Josh Allen has so many weapons around him, and when he's hitting, bro. But like he's very interception prone, and I feel like that can either get in his head for the next season or he can improve on it. I feel like it might get in his head. You feel me? And also the Jets still went. They still had like a fairly decent record with who was their quarterback last? I don't even remember who was their quarterback.
Zach Wilson, Mike
Zach
White,
Wilson.
Joe Flacco.
Yeah, yeah. Those three comboed that might be the worst quarterback trio of all time. I'm not even gonna lie with you. So when they added Aaron Rodgers, I feel like with that defense and Aaron Rodgers, that they can win that division fairly easily too. I have them sweeping the Bills like in the regular season. So that's my take on the Jets this year.
That is definitely a hot take, which we will get into very, very soon. Joe, what respond to all that?
Yeah, earlier I said there were two teams that could beat the Chiefs, and one of them was the Jets. I don't know if we're doing our hot takes right now, but I think the Jets have the best chance of beating the Chiefs behind the other team that I was going to talk about later. But I think that the Jets will take down the Bills in the AFC, um, their their division, because they got the best running back in the league, Brees Hall. They're gonna take it slow with him, so they're gonna start out slow. Obviously, the record, um, the play calling is gonna be a little slow because he got came off his ACL. But like week five after that, they're gonna be insane. They're gonna go like whatever and zero. They're gonna go undefeated, in my opinion. And here's why. Another reason, they got the best wide receiver duos in the NFL, the best cornerback in the NFL, the best pass rushing team in the NFL, especially with their draft pick Will McDonald. They got the other big guy, 95, on the team. The other ripped guy, I think it was Clemens. I mean, that pass rush is going to be a nightmare for any quarterback trying to go against the Jets any given night. And their secondary is also going to be insane. Whoever the other guy is, aside from Sauce Gardner, they're going to be insane on there. And I just think that the coaching staff complements the players really well. I've been following them on their social media, and they seem like they bond a lot. I haven't watched a lot of Hard Knocks. Some people have to get some kind of insight on their team so far, but what I've been seeing, I think they have the best shot in the AFC.
I think I will just enter the hot take segment we were about to, but I guess that is a hot enough take. I think I don't think the Jets have the best chance at beating the Chiefs, even with Rodgers at the helm, but I do think they are going to make some noise in the AFC for sure. But I mean, with that hot take, I can't say I agree with that, but I will say they will make a lot of noise. Evan, what do you think the Jets are the best team or have the best chance to dethrone the Chiefs?
But just a saying there, but I just don't think so. Right, at least right now, because obviously you will have to deal with chemistry issues like we talk about all the time. Chemistry is a big part of sports, and also I just think the Bengals are just a better team overall, a better chance of beating the Kansas City Chiefs on the Bills as well because both offenses are just extremely explosive. Obviously, I haven't seen the Jets offense yet, but I just think that guys like Joe Burrow and Josh Allen, who are such amazing quarterbacks, they're more similar to Mahomes. Uh, Aaron Rodgers, or the Aaron Rodgers, he's a pocket quarterback. You won't be able to make those spectacular plays that you kind of need to be Patrick Mahomes because to be Patrick Mahomes, you're gonna have to pull off some magic because he's just gonna pull some magic on himself. So just gotta pull out something, and I think that Aaron Rodgers is not able to do that. Although he has shown that he has some great plays, but I just think that it's not right now. Maybe next year when the teams actually play a year under their belt.
Jordan, do you want to react to that?
Now, I don't think that the Jets necessarily have the best chance of beating the Chiefs, but they are up there though. Because, like I said, I didn't even mention the running back core with Brees Hall and Dalvin Cook. Like that might be unstoppable. You feel me? And like with Aaron Rodgers, we forget how he won the MVP just like what was it 3 4 years ago. Like he's still like a great quarterback. Like and with the combination of like those wide receivers that he has, I feel like the Chiefs defense would not be able to stop that, especially with their cornerbacks. And I feel like the Jets defense also has the best chance at stopping Mahomes. So that's what I think. That's what I think.
Yeah, I agree for sure. And we'll stay with Jordan. Do you have any hot takes to tell us?
Oh, I have a couple. Okay,
All right.
so for the NFC West, you feel me? I have the Seahawks winning that division.
Okay. All right.
Wait, no. Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me
All
out.
right.
Hear me
All
out.
right.
Hear
All
me
right.
out.
No, no.
All right.
Hear me out. Hear me.
Let's hear him out.
All right.
We'll hear him out.
All right. All right. So the Seahawks, number one, they might have the best wide receiver core in the entire league right now. You feel me? Those three wide receivers that they have are actually like really is really underrated, low key. Because like you look at them, like you don't really think about like the Seahawks having like a good wide receiver core, but they really do have like a great wide receiver core on their hands. And I feel like Geno Smith, like even though he had down a couple years, I feel like he's finally found his stride, and I feel like he's gonna be on the uphill from here on out. And what else I have in my notes? I said, oh yeah, even with a subpar defense, they still have a chance. And like, I don't see Brock Purdy thriving for an entire year with that Niners offense. Now, I feel like they'll do. I feel like they'll still be second place and it'll be close. But after 17 games after that injury that he had, especially since George Kittle and Deebo Samuel are pretty injury prone, I feel like teams are going to start to figure the Niners out a little bit offensively. Defensively, the Niners can't be stopped, but offensively, I feel like they're going to be able to be figured out, and that's why I think the Seahawks might have that edge over the Niners.
Joe, you can respond to that because I know you're a Seahawks fan.
Yeah, no, if I said everything Jordan just said, no one would believe me. So I'm glad that Jordan said that. So I don't have to say it again. But yeah, I agree with everything he just said. Seahawks definitely have the best chance in the NFC to win that division, other than the Eagles maybe. But that's another topic. So circling back to the Seahawks, I think they do have the best chance. Everything Jordan said, I don't want to repeat it because no one's gonna believe me anyway. Because you guys think I got bias. But yeah, everything he said, that's on me.
All right. Well, I guess I'll respond. There's no chance the Seahawks get a better record than the
No,
Niners.
no
And
chance, no
no,
chance. Whoa,
nah,
hold on. No
let
chance
me
is crazy. No chance
let
is
me cook.
crazy.
Let me cook. Um,
I'm gonna try and hear
no,
you out, bro.
hear me out, bro. The Seahawks. Hey, it might be close. The Seahawks might go like 11-6. The Niners might go 12-5, 13-4, whatever it is. There's no chance. The Cardinals are easily the worst in that division. Then the Rams are the third. No one's arguing that. But the Niners, fine. You want to say Brock Purdy won't keep up all year? You still have McCaffrey, one of the best running backs. George Kittle, one of the best tight ends. And you
But he's
talk about receiving core, though. You say
yeah,
Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, those are still elite receivers. And then you plug
bro.
whoever you want as a third receiver. There's no shot the Seahawks, they might make it close. I'll give you that. Because Metcalf, Lockett, and their rookie Smith Najigba, they're great receivers. I agree with your point about the receiving core, but I don't think there's a shot they actually end up with a better record than the Niners. There's just no way, bro. There's
I
just
feel
no
like
way.
no, hold on. But I feel like Brock Purdy though. I feel like, but like, all right. I feel like Brock Purdy. I feel like teams are really gonna start to figure him out because like the reason he caught fire at the end of that season was because nobody knew what was going on. Like that was their first time ever seeing Brock Purdy play in an NFL game. So obviously he's gonna start cooking a little bit, especially if he's somewhat decent. But after the injury he had in what was it, the NFC Championship? I forget.
Yeah,
After
yeah.
yeah, after that injury he had, I don't see him coming back with that same confidence, that same thing that led them to get to that point. You feel me? And even with like Deebo Samuel, he's not a true wide receiver in my eyes. I feel like he's a running back, but has better hands than a running back, so they put him as a wide receiver. But really, he's a running back in my eyes. So I don't know. I don't know.
All right.
I
Evans,
don't. I don't see him
respond to
winning
all
that.
that.
I mean, I'm gonna think that's super crazy, but even all the biases, I still think it's super crazy. Like I do agree that Seahawks is not the best, and DK Metcalf, the Tyler Lockett, that's absolutely amazing. Better than the Niners, I'll be honest. But just just all the pieces that they have, the Niners, they have everything pretty much that you need for a football team. They have literally, there's not really any holes you can point to. The Seahawks, you can point to some of their holes, like the offensive line, maybe not as strong. Niners offensive line isn't that strong, either, but you still have Trent Williams, who is better than the Seahawks offensive line. And then defensively, like obviously the Seahawks line is obviously not as strong as the 49ers. 49ers had Javon Hargrave, Nick Bosa, and everyone else obviously very, very strong on that team. And then I just think that just 0 chance that the Seahawks better because the Niners team is just so well rounded. Every position is great other than the quarterback. Obviously, we still have some question marks there, but see and keep Seahawks keeping up with them because the Seahawks, although is very good, I just think that they don't have enough there to compete with Niners defense. And obviously, defensively, I don't think they can stop the Niners offense that well.
I I agree with what you said. And before it gets out of hand, does anyone have any other hot takes they would like to get off their chest before I say mine?
This is not, I don't know, say I have a hot take, but I just think too many people are sleeping on the Dolphins. Like, I don't understand why Dolphins aren't getting talked about enough at this moment because you add Jalen Ramsey, you already have Xavier Howard, obviously, and so many other good pieces on that defense. That defense is pretty stacked. And of course, you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, two of the best wide receivers in the NFL on the same team. And of course, you need Tua to stay healthy, but before Tua did get into those problems where he kept getting the injuries, that team was elite. That team was very, very good. I thought that they had a pretty good chance to go on a pretty big run. Of course, Tua went down, and I think if Tua can stay healthy, that team has a very good shot of winning that division. I'm not going to say they will win the division, but I think that team is sleeping on them, and I think they could make a big run if they can stay healthy.
I agree. I mean, he's saying stay healthy. Jalen Ramsey is gone for the first half this season, and the Dolphins have way too many question marks at their running back position. Obviously, we've been talking about receivers a lot. Waddle, Tyreek Hill, one of the best receiver duos in the league. But I think the AFC is just way too elite that there's so many better teams than the Dolphins. The Dolphins might make some noise, but I just think there's better teams in the AFC. Like, I think the AFC is way too stacked. So, Jordan, what do you think about the Dolphins?
I mean, I'm kind of agreeing with what you said. I mean, like, and also, like, Tua, I feel like Tua is hard because when you go down with two concussions in a span of what was it, like a week or two, like,
Something like
I
that.
don't, I don't, I feel like that's just dangerous after a while to have him continue to play. So I just don't think he might have that confidence anymore because he's scared of getting that concussion, which is a fair reason to not stay confident. So I don't know. I feel like the Dolphins could make some noise if Tua stays confident in himself, but I just don't see it happening right now at
Joe,
least.
Joe, what about you?
Yeah, about the Dolphins, I don't think they're. I think they're gonna finish last in the division, honestly, because first of all, the Patriots aren't even that bad. Like other than their quarterback, maybe their whole team is pretty good, and Mac Jones is not that bad either. And I think that the Dolphins, even with Tua, he kind of just chucks the ball up to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle every time, and it's not going to be really effective, especially when you're playing the Jets. You got Sauce Gardner out there, and the Bills who actually have a good team. It's not going to work. Just have your two fastest guys run up the field and you chuck it down the field like a blindfold. So I don't think it's that effective, especially when you're playing the playoffs, playing these good teams in the AFC. I think even the Jaguars have like a good shot of beating them, even if they make the playoffs. Any team on the AFC, other than like the bottom teams, can beat the Dolphins. So I'm not impressed by the Dolphins. They didn't really do anything this offseason, so I'm not that high on them either.
I do agree, and my hot take is that the Raiders are gonna struggle and eventually trade Davante Adams before the NFL trade deadline. They'll realize that, like you said, Jordan, they might have to blow it up. They will realize that. We'll see what happens with Josh Jacobs, but I believe the Raiders will eventually trade Davante Adams. So anyone react to that?
And I said that they're going to be pretty trash. So, I mean, that would obviously make sense to trade Devontae Adams because there's no really point in keeping him in at this point. They don't really seem to have a direction at this point. I think you have to just go down, rebuild. Maybe get Caleb Williams if you can. I don't know if they'll be that bad, but if you get Caleb Williams, that would be amazing. And even if he does stay in college, then that's great for you because then you can sell everything this year and then go for a tank job next year as well. But yeah, I really got to find a direction, either somehow trade and get some great players around Jimmy Garoppolo like Niners did, or you just go opposite direction and just tank, which I think is definitely the best way to go because the team just has zero direction.
All right, someone else, Jordan, Joe would react to that.
I mean, like I said, or like you said, the smart decision would be to trade Devontae Adams. But the Raiders don't. The Raiders organization doesn't think like smart people do. All right. As a Raider fan, I've seen this time and time again, and it hurts my soul. You feel me? Because when they traded Darren Waller, you think, okay, they're gonna go straight tank job. But then they re-signed Josh Jacobs, which is like a star running back, and you can get you. Josh Jacobs is trade power, and if he's holding out for a contract, why not trade him anyway to a different team that will sign that contract for him? So it's just I don't know. I feel like they need to blow it up and just straight restart from ground zero because when they haven't been trying to do that, it just leads to disappointment time and time again. But like I said, the Raiders organization doesn't think like smart people. So
Joe, react to that. What do you think will happen with Devontae Adams?
I mean, I think he's gonna stay, but I feel like, in my opinion, whatever the Raiders do, whether they keep him or trade him or do anything with their roster, it's not gonna work. Like if they get Patrick Mahomes tomorrow, they're still not gonna make the Super Bowl. They're still not gonna make the
whoa,
playoffs.
whoa, wait,
Okay,
hold on
that's
now,
like you're getting oh
hold
what
on, hold on, bro.
what?
It's like
This is feeling a little targeted now. I ain't gonna hold you.
no, it's just a problem with their team. It's like the Timberwolves of basketball. Whatever they do, whatever superstar they get, they're not gonna do anything with them. Like whatever they do, it's not gonna work.
That's definitely a hot take for sure. I mean, first of all, that's not even realistic because I mean, obviously Chiefs, Raiders, huge rivals. But I mean, let's just go quickly to the NFC. We talked about the NFC West pretty much. Jordan, Joseph think the Seahawks will somehow win the division. Evan and I think the Niners will win the division. And now we'll debate between who do you guys think will have the better record in the NFC East? The Philadelphia Eagles or Dallas Cowboys? The Cowboys, they did get Brandon Cooks for that offense, elite offense. They cut Zeke, obviously, because now they have Tony Pollard. And then on the defense, they signed Stephon Gilmore. So you've got an elite defense, elite offense. The Eagles, they lost Javon Hargrave, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, but they just drafted extremely well. They got DeAndre Swift too to make up for the loss for Miles Sanders, and I do believe the Eagles will have the better record than the Dallas Cowboys because I think that defense is going nowhere. They have an elite O-line, and then of course AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, DeAndre Swift, Dallas Goedert, Jalen Hurts. I think the Eagles and Cowboys, they might make it more competitive than ever, but I feel like the Eagles, they're just such an elite team, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's a rematch in the NFC Championship game. So, Evan, what do you think about the Cowboys and Eagles?
That the Eagles are going to win the division, but this is really just again a year for Dak Prescott. Like similar to Justin Herbert, he needs to show that he can win those big games, and I think with that on his chest, I think that will definitely push the Cowboys, and that Cowboys team will give the Eagles a huge run for their money. But I think the Eagles will edge them out. I just think they're too strong of a team. Like you said, even though they lost a lot of their defensive pieces, they had such a good draft that it won't matter that they did lose those pieces. But the Cowboys do win the division because Cowboys do have a very strong team.
All right. So, Jordan, what do you think about the Eagles and the Cowboys, that huge rivalry?
I think that the Eagles are gonna have the better record, and it's not even gonna be close, to be honest with you. Every year I feel like we're always debating on whether the Cowboys are gonna go all the way this year, and it never ends out well. Even with their strong defense, strong offense, I want to see Dak Prescott win, but right now he's just not performing at the level I feel like he really can. So I feel like the Eagles are gonna have the better record by a long shot, and I feel like the Eagles are definitely gonna make the Super Bowl again.
We will see for sure. Joe, what do you think about the Eagles and Cowboys?
I mean, I don't think it's really a debate. I think the Eagles are definitely the best team in the NFC by far. I don't even think I think the Cowboys can be in the discussion of being third in their division behind the Giants, because I don't think that Dak has what it takes. I think that right this year we might see his true form come out. And I don't know what they're really doing with the Trey Lance thing. I don't know if they're giving him competition or worried about him. I don't know what they're trying to do. You could have went out and signed someone for Dak. They're not really helping him out that much, so I don't know what the front office is doing. I don't think Dak is going to do something good this year, like everyone thinks. This might be the year he falls apart or something. I don't know, but I don't see him beating the Eagles at all. Maybe not even the Giants. So this could be the year that they kind of blow everything up.
Those are definitely some pretty hot takes after the hot takes segment. We will see what happens. They did,
I
again, they signed Brandon Cooks and everything. Jordan, you want to say something?
I was gonna say I agreed with Joseph. I had that the Giants were gonna be second in that division, but like it was gonna be close. You feel me? So that's all I had to say.
Yeah, I feel like the entire division's going to be close for sure, but Cowboys, you have Brandon Cooks next to CeeDee Lamb now. And then you have an elite defense. There's no excuse not to do well, honestly. And I mean, I believe they play the Niners week 4, week 5, something like that. And then wouldn't be surprised if they met again in the playoffs. It's the same excuse every year. And I mean, we'll see what happens. I believe the Cowboys are second in their division, but wouldn't be surprised if they fall behind the Giants because every year it seems like it's supposed to be their year. And to quote Stephen A. Smith, what can go wrong will go wrong. And with that, that will end episode 73. Jordan, Joseph, thanks for coming on. I'm sure they will be on another podcast episode for the future. So with that, make sure to stay up to date with the channel, subscribe, comment below, follow us on all the social media platforms. Look forward to seeing you next Friday or in the shorts on YouTube and TikTok.